It is NFL Combine week for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and down here in Indianapolis, I expect 5 things to be answered. The Steelers to have 5 storylines follow them throughout the week with pretty big implications on their NFL draft. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbein. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. I am down here at Indianapolis, Indiana for the NFL Combine, ready to speak with every prospect that the Pittsburgh Steelers could possibly consider in the 2024 NFL Draft. Bring you guys all the insight possible. And I think by the end of this week, by the time me and the rest of the Pittsburgh Steelers crew leave Indy, there should be, I'd say 5, but probably more than 5 questions answered about the direction that this team is going this offseason and how their NFL draft is likely to shake out. I have 5 storylines that I am following along all week long that I think everybody should have their eyes glued to, that by the end of this week, like I said, should be answered to some degree. We'll start with the big one. That's center. You release Mason Cole before the NFL Combine, well before free agency. You look at that situation and you say, okay, well, there has to be a plan. The Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to do this and make this big splash if they didn't have some sort of contingency plan in play. And down here at the NFL Combine, I think we'll get that first glimpse of are our assumptions correct? When we talk about the center and the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to shape this offseason, we right now assume that Jackson Powers-Johnson, Zach Frazier, one of the top 2, maybe 3 centers in the NFL draft, are going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster in 2024. That their plan is to find the next Maurkice Pouncey and take pressure off of finding that and reloading that position for the next X amount of years. That right now they have an idea and they say this center class is so loaded and it's got such high-end talent at the front end of it that that's the direction that they're going to go. That is our assumption. On Saturday, we get to talk to the centers, and I think that will tell us exactly whether we are right or if we have to kind of take a right turn and see what comes next. Because if the Steelers only have meetings with Jackson Powers-Johnson and Zach Frazier and maybe the top 3 or 4 centers in the NFL draft, then we could all assume the Steelers are going center in the first round, maybe the second round latest, but one of those top rounds are going to be the next center of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they assume that that center is going to start for them, and that is their game plan, that a rookie's coming in here to be the next Maurkice Pouncey, and that they have their eyes on that center. If they're talking to everybody, if they're talking to the deeper centers in this class, those mid-round guys, maybe, just maybe, we have to start thinking about different directions. And if the Steelers are considering maybe a James Daniels or a Nate Herbig as a center this season, if they're considering another veteran through free agency to come in here and replace Mason Cole while they develop a rookie deeper in the NFL draft, we'll get that understanding on Saturday when we talk to these rookies. And from there, we can assess. Because if we leave here on Saturday and the only centers that the Steelers have spoken to are the top 2 or 3, I think we could all put in our mock drafts the Steelers are selecting a center in the first 2 rounds. I think that's safe to assume. If they talk to everybody and there are 4th and 5th round centers in here and you're sitting around going, I don't know what direction they're going to go, maybe, just maybe, you start looking at the free agency market and you start looking at both guard options and center options to say maybe the Steelers make some moves along their offensive line to reshape what positions players are sitting in. The next position is the quarterback position, because right now it is all over the board. There are some who have the Steelers mocked to go up to 9 to go get J.J. McCarthy and make a giant splash. Michael Penix has been linked to the Steelers multiple times throughout the offseason. You got names like Spencer Rattler, Jordan Travis, Michael Pratt, Bo Nix. Who are the Steelers going to talk to? Are they going to talk to any quarterbacks at all? Are they going to spend any time at all speaking to a quarterback at the NFL Combine? Because if they don't, we could cross it right off their list. They are dead set on veteran, and Kenny Pickett. That's what they're looking for. And I think that is right now probably the most likely scenario, but maybe they are. Maybe we have to reassess everything, because maybe When the quarterbacks speak, Bo Nix says he has a meeting with the Steelers, and J.J. McCarthy said he had a great meeting with Mike Tomlin and company. Maybe that's how that shapes out, and then all of a sudden you're starting to think, okay, maybe moves could be made. Maybe the Steelers are interested in a quarterback in this draft. Maybe they are doing their homework to see if they can land another first-round guy to compete with Kenny Pickett. We'll see when the quarterbacks talk. You keep it going, and it's the biggest headline down here in Indy. I showed up last night, went to dinner with a couple of other Steelers guys, and we're all joking and laughing, kind of making fun of the fact that Justin Fields is going to be traded during the NFL Combine. But it's obviously the biggest story. If you turn on NFL Network, it'll be talked about all morning. If you turn on ESPN, it'll be talked about all morning. It's just what people are going to talk about. The Chicago Bears are looking to put the pieces of the puzzle together and the building blocks of a trade set in stone before they leave Indianapolis. And let me tell you, I do not expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to leave Indy with a quarterback. I just don't. But I do expect Omar Khan to have some conversations. And let me tell you this, that anybody sitting around saying Justin Fields' stock is going to go up while everybody's talking and watching these top-tier quarterbacks, they're wrong. It's going to go right down, and his stock is going to plummet with every pass that is thrown in Indianapolis. And maybe that works in the Pittsburgh Steelers' favor. Maybe they just say, hey, let's take advantage of good opportunity. Again, I'd say there's a 0% chance that the Steelers leave with Justin Fields as their quarterback. But I would say that there's a pretty high likelihood that if the Bears are trying to at least have conversations, the Steelers are included in those conversations. We'll keep it trucking to number 4, and that is the cornerback class. Are the Steelers dead set on finding Joey Porter Jr.'s running mate? What does it mean for Patrick Peterson? There are a lot of questions that come with when and where the Steelers are looking for a corner. If they're looking for a Kool-Aid McKinstry, if they're looking for a Cooper DeJean, if they're looking for those first-round guys, and that's what they're intending on using their first-round pick on, if they are all in on this cornerback class, maybe it means that the Steelers look for other options when it comes to a veteran like Patrick Peterson. Maybe it means Patrick Peterson moves inside to the slot. Maybe it means he moves to safety part-time and they figure that out as they go. I think there are a lot of options. Maybe the Steelers look a little bit deeper in the NFL draft for a corner, and you're starting to wonder, okay, maybe Pat P is going to play one more year as a starter on the outside with Joey Porter Jr., and then they're going to try to make it as young as possible with guys like Corey Trice and whoever this next draft pick is, and maybe a guy like Darius Rush. Corners are expected to be hot and heavy down here. Probably the most interesting position group that there is at the NFL Combine in 2024, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be all in on it, but I'm excited to see just how deep they're looking in this draft class. And then last but not least, I think a sleeper. I think the headline, the storyline that none of us are really talking about that maybe we should talk about a little bit more, and that is the rest of this draft class, the rest of the positions, defensive line, inside linebacker, wide receiver. What about punter? The Steelers have a lot of openings, a lot of needs when it comes to this, and it shapes out their roster entirely. Is Larry Ogunjobi on his way out because his play does not match his contract? Is another wide receiver coming to town, or are they going free agency? And if a top wide receiver is on the list of the Pittsburgh Steelers draft board, can they look at it and say, maybe Deontay Johnson is worth trading? Maybe we just get a slot. Maybe Allen Robinson's our guy, or Calvin Austin took such a step forward that we like what we see, and we don't have to touch a wide receiver at all. When it comes to inside linebacker, Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts, is it going to be another Mark Robinson, or is it going to be a top guy? Are they going to sneak into the top 2 or 3 rounds for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're going to make some splash at inside linebacker and say, look, we're tired of waiting and signing these veterans that don't work out or deal with injury? A lot of questions. Is the Presley Harvin experiment, did it ruin the Pittsburgh Steelers and rookie punters? Did they look at this and say, we're going to go veteran like Brad Wing or Braden Mann, but there's no chance we're going to use a draft pick on a guy that we are uncertain of in the NFL because the last time it just did not work out? There are so many questions. There are so many positions that the Steelers do not have at the top of their board because there are starters there, but maybe you can improve those starters. And there are questions, but maybe the salary cap isn't pressing enough to really make those questions super alarming. I think we'll get somewhat of a look at this at the NFL Combine, and I think by the time we leave Indianapolis, our minds will be completely different on which direction the Pittsburgh Steelers draft is going to go, and simultaneously what direction the offseason is going to go. I'm excited to bring everything from Indianapolis to you guys. Allsteelers.com, youtube.com/allsteelerstalk. We'll have everything that you possibly need from the NFL Combine. Again, looking forward to a great week. Wishing my partner Stephen Thompson was down here with us, but we got both coverage in Pittsburgh, in Indy, and I think that's the best way to go about it. Appreciate all you guys. Excited for a big week.